In this video, I'm going to introduce you to some of Knitter's Pride's new products. And if you've watched my videos for a while, you know that I use a lot of Knitter's Pride products, but until now, those have all been knitting needles and crochet hooks. But they haven't really expanded until now into a bunch of other things that are still knitting related, but outside the realm of knitting needles and other things. And I'm really excited about these. What I have here are a Swift and a ball winder and a yarn dispenser. I'm going to go through each one of these. These are all made of really polished birch wood, and the ones that I have, you can see, have this the striped colors, and those are the same colors that you see in the Knitter's Pride Dreams needles. And on the ball winder, I left this unclamped so I can show you. We have the same striped colors, and I have the same thing on the yarn dispenser. All three of these products are also available in just natural wood. But there's something really great about these. Knitter's Pride always does such a good job with their products. I shouldn't be surprised, but these are the wood is so polished and it is so smooth that the movement in all of this is really smooth. The movement of the Swift, the movement of the ball winder, and I'm going to show you that in a second here. I'm going to use this clamp to clamp the ball winder down to the table. I left it unclamped so that I could twist it up to show you how colorful the wheel is. And it has a nice big, I guess it's kind of a nut to turn, makes it easy. And there are non-skid pads on the bottom of this. Okay, so if you're not familiar with a ball winder and a Swift, if you use nice yarn, it usually comes in hanks like this. And when you unpop the hank, you end up with a big loop of yarn. And unless you have someone available to hold the yarn for you like this while you wind it, a ball winder and Swift comes in handy so you don't have to use the back of a chair. So you do a better job than I do. You put the hank of yarn over the Swift. Third time's a charm. If I was standing up, it'd be easier. And then expand the Swift. My yarn's a little floppy here. I've got a couple of ends to cut the loops that were on the yarn. I'm not sure why this hank isn't holding up, but it won't matter because it'll be in a cake in a moment. So now my yarn is ready to wind. I'm going to thread the yarn through this guide here and put the yarn across the slit on top of the ball winder, and then just get it going. And I've been really happy with this ball winder in that the cakes that it makes I mean, the movement's really smooth and everything, and the cakes that it makes are not super tight. I often wind my yarn twice, once off the Swift and once from the ball, just to make sure that the cakes aren't too tight. I need to secure the other end of my yarn. Of course, this doesn't happen when I'm winding at home. It only happens when I'm winding on camera. That should take care of it. And you can see how easy, it didn't take care of it. You can see how easy the movement is. It's smooth and you're making a perfect little cake of yarn here. And the end of my yarn. Okay. Now if I want to pull from the center ball, I grab the little bit that's on that I put across the slit here, and I have a perfect cake of yarn to work from. Okay, so I want to show you a couple other things. This is the yarn dispenser, and again we have non-skid pads on the bottom of this, and this is like a lazy Susan for your yarn. We were just talking about this on the podcast about there are the people who like to pull from the center and people who like to pull from the outside. And this is perfect for people who like to pull from the outside of the yarn. So you have your yarn on here, and as you're working, this easily spins. It easily spins if your yarn's wound properly. There we go. It easily spins and keeps your yarn from tangling. And again, we have ball bearings in here that keeps the movement really smooth. And this is the really polished birchwood, like the Knitter's Pride Dreams needles. Okay, the last thing I have to show you, actually, let me get this. I'm going to use this ball of yarn again. The last thing I have to show you are these gorgeous yarn bowls and yarn boxes. And these are all handcrafted wood items, again with the non-skid rubber pads on the bottom. And you use these to keep your yarn from tangling while you're working with it. And each one of these has a slit in the side, and you pass your yarn through there and just use it, keep it from tangling. And there's a little peg on each one. You put the peg at the top of the hole, and it keeps the yarn from pulling out, and the yarn just moves really freely. Now, the reason I'm so intrigued and making such a big deal of this peg is a lot of times you have yarn bowls that have a hole in them, and you poke the yarn through, but you're committed to using that yarn bowl until you completely finish that ball of yarn. With the peg, you can remove the peg and remove the yarn from the yarn bowl, which I think is nice. So this is the yarn bowl, and then we have two yarn boxes. These are both with inlaid wood, and here's the other design. Okay, those are the new wood accessories from Knitter's Pride. We have a ball winder, a swift, the yarn dispenser, kind of the Lazy Susan for the yarn bowls and yarn boxes. And in a couple of weeks, I am going to review their new Zing needles. I know a lot of you have been asking me about. If that video is already out, it kind of depends on when you're watching this. I'll give you a link to that video here. If you click the little eye in the upper right-hand corner to go to my website, I will have links to more information about these products, including where you can find them in your home country. That's it. Good luck.